What's up, motocross action? Welcome to another episode of Shaken Not Stirred, and today we have a 500cc two-stroke project bike coming from Adam Millar of Millar Racing Engineering. After building more than 30 Honda CR500 engines into donor chassis, Adam set out to build MXA the best CR500 two-stroke he could think of for the MXA wrecking crew, and he brought it all the way down from Canada for us to test on the famous Glen Helen National Track. The Honda CR500 remained basically the same from the 1993 model year until it was discontinued after 2000. Over the years, as inventory of CR500 parts have been depleted, many CR500 components have actually been replicated or reincarnated in billet. Adam felt that the best way to create a modern 500cc two-stroke today would be to install a CR500 engine into a 2016 KTM 250SXF rolling chassis. This year, the chromoly steel frame has good flex characteristics in comparison to stiffer 2019 and 20 KTM frames, and after cutting out the lower frame rails off a 2007 KTM 450SXF and spending hours of work welding them onto the newer KTM frame, the CR500 was ready to ride. It was a nerve-wracking and time-consuming task. Then the engine mount locations were located and measured to ensure the proper engine angle. Since the CR500 wasn't designed to fit into a KTM chassis, custom engine spacers had to be crafted by Crazy Al's Racing. The CR500 cylinder used on the Honda KTR500 was from the 1989 through 2001 configuration. These production cylinders were made with a cast iron liner. Adam Millar replaced this liner with an aluminum one that was fabricated by LA Sleeve with Millennium Technologies, applying the Nikasil bore finish. TSR Products built the engine cases for our CR500 out of 6061 billet, as well as the stator and clutch access covers. These billet cases were designed with an updated clutch lifter system to mount an integral hydraulic clutch slave cylinder for a light and smooth action. The custom cases house the original 3rd, 4th, and 5th wide ratio transmission gears, as first gear is made lower and 5th gear is taller than stock. This was done to achieve more evenly spaced gaps that are more predictable when riding. Even though Adam Millar built us a CR500 power plant, his business is based off building and modifying both KX500 and CR500 engines. With the CR500 he built for us, he made internal modifications to the crankcases, cylinder, and head. He used an OEM crankshaft that was in excellent condition and refurbished it himself. He added his signature decompression release in the head to make the engine start easier. The crank was connected to a Wasner rod to actuate a standard bore Vertex piston, and the ignition was a combination of OEM parts mixed with an aftermarket digital CDI that offered multiple map options and custom calibration. The induction components were fabricated by scratch by Millar Racing Engineering. These parts joined a late model 38mm Kian PWK Air Striker carburetor to Mototassinari V-Force 2 components. The carb had an STIC fuel carburetor metering block installed, which ensured a strong delivery at every throttle position. To connect the power to the ground, the CR500 engine was fitted with a Recluse core manual clutch assembly. Adam told us that in his experience, most other clutch brands would slip as a high degree of torque overrode their capabilities. To top the engine off, a standard FMF Honda CR500 pipe and PowerCore 2 silencer were used. For this build, only the silencer mounting points had to be modified. For the suspension, Adam kept WP 4CS components and sent them to Pro Action Canada. They swapped out the horrible 4CS internals for Kiaba SSS internals. These internals were partnered with Zeta Racing's pistons and fork caps. The fork tubes were anodized black and the legs DLC coated. The WP shock received a Pro Action resin reservoir and was valved to match the forks. To minimize vibration, Adam added polymer-damped XC gears spurs foot pegs. These pegs isolate any metal-to-metal contact to reduce vibration. Plus, the polymer that the foot peg platform ride on compress upon impact to allow slight fore and aft flex. Adam also utilized XC Gears Mako 360 bar mounts, which are based off the same idea as their foot pegs. Finally, Necken's reduced diameter SFH handlebars that allow for 4mm thicker grips were added. This combination worked wonders in reducing vibration on the 500cc two-stroke. All fasteners, bolts, washers, and axles are titanium, with the majority of them being made by Adam Millar himself. Faster USA laced up XL A60 hoops with their own billet hubs, which were shod with Dunlop MX-33s front and rear, and a tubeless bead locking system was used as well. Braking brake pads and oversized rotors were used front and rear to help the pucker power. An MSC Moto Access steering dampener was mounted under the Necken bars. Guts Racing prepared a complete seat using a genuine KTM pan, the rib seat cover, and a denser foam. Cycra produced the bodywork, Piston Bones Printing handled the graphics, and of course Twinner helped out with the air supply. So what was the KTR500 like to ride? The CR500 engine was a tame and rideable version of the scary 500cc bikes of the past. It wasn't scary when the throttle was at the stops. Instead, it was calm and collected. It didn't tremor when the engine built its power. It simply sang rather than roared. It offered a low to mid style of power. MXA test riders could click up to third and just leave it there. It pulled out of corners with delight. It got the power to the ground without the front wheel coming up, which was deceiving. It felt slow, but by the time you remembered that you were on a 500cc two-stroke, you were going lightning fast. Every test rider loved this engine. It was usable, but it did lack the wow factor that every other 500cc two-stroke has. Handling was a strong suit on the CR500 powered KTM chassis. It handled as well or better than any production bike on the showroom floor. It turned on a dime, and its pro-action suspension handled with precision, absorbing everything in its path. It was on the soft side for our faster testers, and it bottomed out on occasion if we hit a big hole or landed hard. But for the average guy, this chassis and suspension setup was a dream. There were many good things that MXA test riders had to say about this bike, but most talked about its lack of vibration. There simply was none. How could that be? We've never heard of such a thing with such a big smoker power plant. However, that is where the genius of Millar Racing engineering came into play. A bike that shifts with ease and has zero vibration. A chassis that does everything exceptionally well and offers an easy-to-ride power plant was considered impossible with such an archaic design. However, Millar Racing Engineering did it. Overall, we had an awesome time on the KTR500. Now we're excited to put this bike up against KX Guru's KTX500E for our 500cc project bike shootout. Stay tuned to motocrossactionmag.com and the MXA YouTube channel for the upcoming shootout video, and check out Motocross Action Magazine for the full story on the shootout of these two bikes. And if you haven't yet, click the thumbnail below to see the KTX500E bike test.